everybody. Welcome to today's episode. We are speaking with Beau and Brandy.
Beau and Brandy live on a sailboat full time, so they live very close to nature on the ocean, and therefore they encounter a lot of animals on a daily basis. They also have a YouTube channel on which they sort of use to document their journey and to show other people how it's like to live on the ocean on a sailboat. We are very curious about their lifestyle and how seeing animals on a daily basis maybe change their life a little bit, maybe even their relationship. So without further ado, let's jump into this episode and let's get to know Beau and Brandy.
Yeah, guys, so thank you so much for meeting with us. It's great to have you. Obviously, for our listeners, you guys are living on a sailboat, and that's quite interesting. That's quite unique as well. So what actually inspired you to start living on a sailboat?
Well, we don't know, honestly. We don't know who came up with the idea, but I guess the reason we decided to live this lifestyle is we got sick of the 9 to 5 and not seeing each other. Brandy was working corporate job where she was traveling the Northeast area, of the U.S., like upstate New York area, even into Pennsylvania and Massachusetts. So I only saw her maybe, Yeah. It was.
Ultimately, the idea was to be able to travel more and see more areas of the world and really be able to dive into it. Taking your home to somewhere that you can just kind of stay for a little bit or pick up and leave whenever you want. So it's just definitely a unique way to live, for sure.
And it's a little bit different than just going on a holiday for 2 weeks to the Bahamas or whatever, that you are there for 2 weeks in a resort and you see something, but not as much as you guys are seeing right now when you have your home right on the spot. You have it right there, of course, and that's pretty cool.
And it's been really neat because we've been able to go into the islands and really enjoy the culture and meet people and become friends with people on the island. You can't really do that in 2 weeks of a holiday vacation. You might make friends with the people who are in that resort with you, but you're not making friends with the people who actually live on the island.
Yeah, actually, I commented this to my coworker the other day. It seems like this lifestyle has been kept secret from the mass population, not to let them know about it. Working here in the USVI, you see a lot of charters and people coming in for their 1 to 2 week vacation out of the year, and it's a way different experience. You're here to party and have fun and just relax. When that's not reality. It's just this escape, I guess, from true reality. So to really get the full feel of a place, you kind of have to be here for a while, like Brandy said.
And obviously, for a lot of people, and I know this from my own experience, is that most people they think that traveling as much as you guys do, for example, or living on a boat, is going to be way more expensive. I cannot even afford that. But would you say it is similar than just living in an apartment in New York City or maybe another city?
Yeah.
It's actually
less expensive.
Yeah, less expensive. You can do this on a budget for sure. I'm very frugal, but just the fact that we anchor out, we don't pay rent. So that's rent for most people is a third of their income.
Yeah. What I was going to say when Beau was speaking about the charters and the people who come down for charters and seeing the amount of money that they spend for these week-long vacations. We could probably go on an entire year on that. Yeah. Our boat we're very self-sufficient, and we have solar. We're an all-electric, so we don't need diesel. And you're not paying rent. Electricity's free, water's free. So it's a very less expensive income or lifestyle than what I think people maybe think.
Yeah, there's a lot of maintenance that goes into that does, So it's not like completely cost
But if
free.
you have a house, it's the same.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
in an apartment or, you know.
Yeah, I was surprised, renting, how much money I was paying in maintenance for a rental. You know what I mean? It was like,
Not getting maintenance done.
yeah, this is not my responsibility.
And it's not even yours. So it's like, what is
Right.
it money for? And going off
Right.
what you said about, I guess, living a more sustainable life or kind of doing things yourself, I imagine like living on a boat has kind of forced you to learn new things.
Oh yeah, for sure.
1,000%. Out here, I feel as though we need to be self-sufficient. Being in an island that doesn't have XYZ of an expert on how to do XYZ, we know how to do everything on our boat pretty much. I mean, outside of welding, which we welded before, like there's certain things that, we know how to do fiberglass, he knows how to do I know how to do some other stuff. I can help him, but it's just, definitely need to be sustainable. And again, don't need to be, but if you want to be in a conscious money spending ideal, you want to be very much more sustainable than instead of traveling miles and miles and miles to get somewhere where someone can fix something. Yeah, it's definitely an asset to have.
And with that, we don't do things right always. We fail, but we don't let that get us down, and we do a little more research and then try to get it right. I don't know. There's things that I haven't done right in the past that I'm now finding that I need to fix. And it's like, oh well, I did make that mistake. So you learn as you go. And I still have a ton of learning to do, or we have a ton of learning to do.
Yeah. It's a whole other aspect of being on the boat is learning constantly, which is something that I think we kind of enjoy.
Yeah. How long have you lived on the boat in total?
Since 2016.
Yeah, we purchased the boat in 2016 in January, and then we moved aboard full time April. So we've been on here. We lived in the hard, which is on blocks, and then we got in the water 2 years after. Yeah, while we were rehabbing the boat.
And what sort of fears did you have, like prior to buying the boat, and once you decided, like what sort of fears did you face in that beginning process?
If we were going to like it.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had zero sailing experience, so we honestly had no idea if we were going to like it. And here we are buying a boat, pretty much sight unseen, not knowing how anything works, not knowing what anything is called. And we kind of just said, after this, we're going to force ourselves to a year. And if we don't like it, then we can give it up. But but all of the typical things that, as a sailor, the worries weren't there. That first initial thing, like pirates or sharks or, all of the craziness, was not there. That wasn't one of our fears. It was if we were going to actually like it.
Yeah. And what about spending so much time together? Because you're in close county. So how do you think living on a boat has improved or helped you grow together?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge, and it's something that we have to continue to work on, because it's kind of like when this COVID stuff happened, right? A lot of divorces happened because people weren't used to being together for so long. It's similar on the boat. Like, there are times when I wasn't working that we would be days on the boat without going to land or seeing anybody within, 200, how many square feet is this?
Yeah,
it's not a lot.
For the viewers, I would say imagine moving into possibly a bathroom or a large walk-in closet. That's what our life is pretty much. We have had the advantage of having a business together prior to moving into the boat. So we worked together for 7 years in the photography business. So we know how to work well together. And I think since we've been on the boat, communication. I mean, it just constant work on communication.
And it's something that you have to keep up with, because if you don't keep up with it, then you will revert to frustrations and expectations and just general animosity towards each other. It's keeping that at the forefront and making sure that doesn't overwhelm you and overwhelm each other.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like you were. Yeah, you learn how to live together. What you were saying in the beginning is like when you're both maybe working in 9 to 5, you barely see each other. Maybe a couple hours in the evening if you're lucky, and you don't travel like you guys did. So this is a complete, different approach to a relationship, like what most people do, right? But overall, you can recommend it to the viewers, the listeners, that is, hey, it's a better way, or?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
ultimately, this is why we did this, is to be together. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're with your partner, your spouse, for a reason, right? Mm-hmm. You had that initial connection, and so it allows you the opportunity to build on it and make it better, and kind of weed out all of your not insecurities, but I guess just make you grow.
Yeah.
Become better people.
Yeah, because if this is an assumption maybe, but you guys, since you've been on this adventure, you've also started a YouTube channel, which is kind of like your baby probably. There's something you guys do together, and that is probably because you live so close together and you want to grow together as well. So you have to, you start something like a YouTube channel like you guys did. And would you say that's because of the boat or living on the boat?
That we started the channel because we were living on the boat? Yeah, so when we first got the boat, we knew eventually that we were probably going to do YouTube just because we knew from being photographers what it's like to take pictures of yourself and they just sit on a hard drive and never enjoy them. Mm-hmm. So we know the purpose, not the purpose, but the accountability side to it, that if we had something to be held accountable to, we would actually make videos. So we wanted that legacy of our adventure. So
it's kind of a fun story. I was working mostly on the boat. Brandy was away dealing with family issues probably the first half of the year. She was just there supporting other family members and stuff. And so I was kind of alone filming, and I did that for a solid year. And Brandy was like, after a year, she was like, okay, we need to start the YouTube. Like, here's the deadline. You have like 3 weeks to get this video done. I had no video editing experience whatsoever. So I'm like struggling, like, when I'm not working on the boat, I'm trying to figure out how to edit video and stuff. So it didn't come out great, but our first episode was basically, my learnings, my spinning.
The first season is kind of hard to watch, but it's still there, that's the thing. It's like the start stops most people, right? Like that was the whole thing. It was the start that was stopping us to get just going. And that accountability saying, all right, every week we've got to put a video out, so we have to do it, because now we're going to have people watching.
And I think that was the biggest fear, was like, okay, once I start, then I can't stop, and it's a commitment. Yeah, it is. So. Yeah.
And it brought you guys here to having a very successful YouTube channel with a lot of people who love your content. And when you watch your content, it's really good, and you feel like it's part of the reason why I watch. Is like you feel like you're just sitting in your bedroom, for example, somewhere in Europe or America where it's cold, and you take us to the Bahamas for 20 minutes or for 10 minutes, and you're just there. You're part of the journey. That's what makes it very, very good.
Well, thanks. Happy that you guys feel that way about our channel. Yeah, appreciate it. I remember when we first started, when we got 100 views, I was like, wow, we're watching this. We started so small and it took a long time to get where we're at. So I really appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, welcome. So over this 6 year roughly, right, that you've been living on a boat, what are some of the most, special moments for you guys, maybe as a couple or maybe individually? What are a couple of things you can pick out and say, like, that was very special for us or for me?
It makes me emotional just thinking about it, honestly. I think the whole experience, but leaving Florida, first of all, the very first sail, when we raised our sails, that was super emotional because after 2 years of hard work, it was like, finally, this is going to be a reality. Like, you're in the boatyard, and if there's anybody listening who is going through building a camper van or a house or a boat or whatever, it will eventually come to a day that you get to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I hope, and that was that first raising of the sails. That whole memory just flooded me back in the last episode. So. And, there's been other huge things like swimming with humpback whales. That was mind-blowing. Like, swimming with dolphins, just crossing from Florida into the Bahamas, like, whoa, we're really doing it.
And I guess the other, for me, it's being out in the open nature and just nothing around you.
Yes.
It's kind of liberating. Almost kind of surreal as well, because as far as you can see, it's just ocean, all around. It puts you in perspective of
how little we are.
Yeah, that and just life in general. Like, it doesn't have to be the badness.
Did you ever feel like you're more connected with yourselves, like individually, when you're out in nature? Like, if you were to look back when you were younger, maybe living in the city in your regular jobs, how do you feel when you're in the ocean or swimming with these animals? How does that connection with nature come about? How would you describe it to someone who hasn't experienced being out in the ocean?
Yeah. The first word I think of is free. Like, think of the day that, just at any point in your time where you just feel free, just feel like all the weight has been lifted and you're just floating in the water and it's just magical. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, for me, it takes your mind off of the frantic. Yeah, I said chaos before, and I'll say it again. The chaos of that we as a society have created.
Yeah.
All these different things that we need to do and we need to focus on. And when you're swimming with whales or dolphins or just out on the ocean, you don't think of those things. You can just be in the moment and just focus on what's happening now and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like the regular life is just, there's so many things to do and focus on that you just don't have time to reflect like that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, in a normal society or normal life, you're basically getting bombarded with your, through your phone and your work. So many different things that come at you from the moment you wake up until the moment you fall asleep, basically. And we've experienced it as well, not with sailing, but just going into nature, for example, scuba diving or snorkeling or free diving. And you just forget about all those little annoying things and distractions and things on your to-do list, like, I need to make this phone call, whatever. Because usually those are not even the important things. The important things is, for example, that we're together doing a free dive or a scuba dive, and you're seeing all these animals and beautiful coral and all that stuff. Like, that's ultimately what those are the to me, that's like the important stuff in life. Is those things. And I think what you guys do, you must have a good vision and a lot of clarity on what you want with your life, sort of. I can imagine, but
yeah, it's I mean,
I feel like we're still figuring it out and still learning, but I think that's the process, is learning, like, and growing. And last year we got our scuba diving license, and it just opened up a whole other world of being in nature, and it's like hiking or just being in another island that you just have never experienced before, or eating a tomato that's been grown on an island that you never even heard about before. Like, it's just absolute amazingness. Now, on the flip side, are there some struggles and hard times and things like that? For sure. Don't let us paint a rainbow and butterfly picture here. It's definitely a tough life out here for sure. However, the flip side of it is it totally makes it worth it.
Yeah, the goods outweigh the bads for sure. But yeah, I agree with you 100% on the clarity and the refocus of what life really should be. It shouldn't be about, all right, I need to, just what we
have been taught.
Yeah, have been taught to think is important. For me, at least personally, those things no longer take the highest importance.
Yeah.
It's more about just being here and experiencing nature and just life in general, and not go, taking a minute to reflect.
Yeah. Do you feel like how you were, like, maybe you guys younger versus you guys now, you're more aware of, you're more in tune with your emotions maybe? Because I feel like people that live in the city, they're very stressed out all the time. For example, on the regular jobs, do you guys feel like you have a better understanding of who you are as a person in that sense? That you can sort of learn to help yourself in some way like that?
Yeah, definitely.
That's a very good question. I would have to say that one of the big reasons I wanted to start this lifestyle was I am a very A-type, goal-driven, go-get, like, don't know how to stop working sort of person, and my favorite being out here is being on these long-haul sails to where we're crossing oceans, or seas. We haven't technically crossed an ocean yet, but the long days where we have no internet, we have nothing to do other than just being with yourself, which I had a very hard time doing, and understanding what the word calm is, like just being calm and being able to breathe and let go of those stresses. Yeah, that was a huge goal of mine, and I feel like I'm still working on it, but I am a different person.
And I guess something can be said about that. You can still bring and harbor those stressful, feelings and thoughts in this lifestyle, and never get over it. It's kind of a choice, When it makes it a little bit easier being out here to find yourself and let go of that stuff. But if you're not in the space to do that, then you'll bring that stuff with you and you'll hold on to it. But it's definitely helped us.
Yeah, there's not. If you want to escape from certain things, it will probably follow you because you only have more time to think about everything. You're just out there alone. And what? Just a regular question, but what is one of the most, like, your favorite spots to sail to? What have been the best spots?
We like the more secluded areas, so like the anchorages people don't go to because they're rolly or too windy or what it be. We just like being out there with a few other boats and maybe just ourselves. So there's one island north of Antigua called Barbuda. Mm-hmm. We really enjoyed there. Not a huge population. Not too many places.
The Bahamas for sure, because it's just there's so many places in the Bahamas that there's not one boat and you just pop your anchor in and there's nobody there. But ultimately, I think our favorite, if you're watching the channel for sure, people know Statia was our favorite overall area. St. Statia's, which is a tiny little island in the Caribbean that no one even knows about. We didn't know about it before we even got there. But due to COVID, due to COVID, it was kind of opened up in an area that we were able to go into, and we would have never gone there if it hadn't been for that. But it was just super special for us. We spent 3 months there. Yeah. 3 months there, and just the people made that trip.
Yeah, because talking about people, what are just for the people who haven't experienced your lifestyle yet, which is probably most people, but how is it, what kind of other people, other cruises, people who live on a sailboat, what are those experiences like? Is it like running into someone while you're in the city, or is it completely different conversations? Can you tell a little bit how that goes, or what's normal, like how a normal conversation looks like?
Yeah, it's I guess it depends on the type of cruiser that you run into. If you run into the cruisers that sit in an area, or they're not even really cruisers, they're just liveaboards, they tend to be a little more ornery and
more secluded.
Yeah, secluded, and yeah, I guess you don't really need to say much about that. Yeah, they're more, in that same mindset of the city life and the landscape. But when you run into cruisers who are actively moving and out here for the new experiences and to learn, then you just get that energy. You get that, that liveliness. And when you speak with them, your conversations are deeper than a normal passing by of somebody on land. It's not, oh, the weather's great today. It's, oh man, what do you do about XYZ when this happens or that happens?
You survived that?
Yeah, or it's like, what are your life philosophies and like, why are you out here? It gets deeper quickly.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, it's just this huge community that we all have so much in common that, how many places have you been to where, you're walking down the street and someone's like, hey, come on over for a drink.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
It's just so normal here that, somebody comes by on a dinghy and they're like, hey, why don't you guys come over for a sundowner and we'll chat, and then the next thing you know, we've been talking for 3 hours and we feel like we know them since forever.
Yeah, it's definitely, people are more open.
The community is it totally makes it. We've got a lot of friends, and it's those types of friendships that will never.
This sounds amazing. So, would you say you prefer when you're like anchored or by land, like around those people, or would you say that you prefer when you're out sailing? Like, what experience do you look forward to the most?
Another good question.
A little bit of both, I guess. Too much of a good thing is a bad thing, right? So it's nice to switch it up. We do enjoy being here at the anchorages and creating those relationships, and enjoying the community, and being able to get resources,
Of course.
Because we still have to get food.
Yeah.
But we appreciate the times we are at sea, able to disconnect. So it's, I would say, more so being at the anchorages than at sea, because you can only take the being away from things for so long.
Yeah. What is the longest you've been away, or basically sailing at sea, basically without seeing people?
9 days.
9 days.
9 days. That's already quite a long time. If you put it in contrast, people who live in we keep saying cities, but most people, they don't go 9 days without seeing any other people, or let alone speak to them. Right? That's quite unique. If you think for you guys, it's very normal, probably, but for most people, that's already quite unique. What would you say is one of your most challenging moments that you've had?
Definitely getting the crack in the hull, that was pretty challenging. Just having the sense of urgency to figure out a problem that you may not survive, that it definitely messes with you mentally. And
the thought that we weren't going to survive never crossed my mind.
No, yeah. But, like, the potential of not getting to your destination, that was definitely one of the most important things. And then just your normal frustrations when things break.
Yeah, you guys are very open with that on your channel, and that's something that I enjoy a lot, because you see the sailing videos, everyone's like modeling almost on the boat, and then you guys are like back to back, like this broke, that broke.
We're fixing this.
Yeah, we're fixing this. So it's great that you're putting that out there, because sometimes people misinterpret how easy something can be. You guys are really showing that the life you get to live, you live extraordinary moments, but you also have to be prepared to, like you said, put in some work.
There's a good quote out there. It says, your boat's broken, you just don't know what it is. So, and I think that can be said about anything and everything.
Yeah.
There's always a problem to find. It's just how you deal with it.
I think the one reason that we try to show all the good and all the bad and all the good, most of what we can. These videos are a sliver of what we're actually doing, so it's really hard to show all of it within those 20 minutes, and we want to show that it's not all great and that there is some hard work too, because I feel like a lot of people who do watch the channels might get a wrong expectation, and when they get out here, they're like, oh, it wasn't like that at all, and then they're out of here, so.
Actually, I've run into people, they even said it about our channel. They're like, oh, man, you guys made it look so easy. It's not that easy.
I don't even know how, I think when we hear that from people who are saying that about our channel, I think you're skipping the parts that we're showing, or you're trying not to pay attention to that part, So,
well, it's easy to romanticize.
Yeah, for sure. Look at Instagram. It's definitely romanticizes a lot.
Yeah. I guess that's why the boat, the graveyards exist, right? There's a couple of them in the Caribbean I've heard of. And that's
so true.
That's that. It's just dreams or people who gave up on their dreams or realized that it was not for them.
Right.
Also very natural, maybe. So are you guys ever planning on moving back to land?
Yeah, one day.
I guess.
We have, you can't get through everywhere on a sailboat. We definitely want to do like backpacking or even van life in different countries, like Europe, for example. I don't know. Yeah, we just enjoy traveling, and this right now is the most affordable way to travel.
Yeah.
It does cost time, effort, and money, but
what did you say?
Oh, yeah. Sailing is the most expensive way to get the closest to Perth.
We created a t-shirt with that saying on it. Because it's very true.
Yeah. What would you, because most people, they have this maybe misconception that starting to what you guys do, basically buying a sailboat, moving on the sailboat, living on it, is very expensive. And although it's not cheap, of course, but what would your tips be to someone who is like, okay, I want to try this maybe, or start this? Like, what would be the first steps? What would you suggest people can do to live life like you guys do it, for example?
First, make sure that you like it. It could have been in a very expensive, for us, we got in an expensive boat on purpose because we knew that we wanted to learn how to fix her up and learn how to do something on not a beautiful, expensive, bank breaking boats.
Yeah.
Or try to get on other people's boats, try to go on races, try to learn that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
which we didn't do any of this
no,
stuff.
No, that's fine.
Right, all coming from experience that things we could have maybe done better.
I would say, for the cautious person, that would be the best. Like people who don't want to take the risks that we take. We've taken huge risks, and I don't know. I'm fine with taking risks. You know,
Beau is definitely risk adverse.
Yeah, that's what life's about, right? It's like, why not? But
start small.
And not too expensive.
Yeah, get on just try to find a marina or find somewhere that you can keep a boat, live on it for a little bit, learn it.
Or even there are charters that are
become crew.
Become crew. But there are charters that actually take people on passages and such, and it's more about the sailing and the life than it is like going on this 60-foot catamaran where everybody's cooking meals for you and pampering you.
That's a vacation, not a life.
That's not the life. That is definitely 100% vacation.
Yeah.
So, try to get the charter that is real.
And going off that, would you say, what about the mental preparation? Because I'm sure you've gone through a little bit of mental obstacles. So what would you, speaking personally, or what you would say to people who are considering this life?
Yeah. As a relationship one, I would say definitely make sure your relationship's intact. That you're good on communication. Before we left, we worked fully in personal development and really, trying to communicate. And we thought our communication couldn't get any better. Like we thought we were like bees knees, We got ourselves pets when we got out here. It's like, we don't know how to communicate that great. So it was start with a base, for communications. Mentally, also, are you going to be okay being away from your family, being away from friends who are getting married, family members who are having babies? You might not be able to get back to that stuff. And being okay with that, of knowing that, being okay with knowing that you may not be able to get back for some important things. I think that's the biggest mental challenge I've had, like an emotional mental challenge of being away from my family.
I'm not very close with people in general. Like, I'm kind of an introvert. Like, I don't really have a community or anything. So for me, it's been very easy because I'm very distant. I'm a very distant person. So I haven't run into those challenges, but I did have the frustrations, the mental, breakdowns of not wanting to continue because it seems so daunting. Mm-hmm. And it's just something that I guess we would run into in anything any goal that we set out to get,
That does kind of lead into what would we recommend before leaving, possibly getting, sailing classes or doing some sort of sailing, because that eliminates a little bit more frustration of either of you not knowing how to sail and that impacting, what's going on. Mm-hmm. Where, when we left, I think a lot of our arguments had kind of went around the fact that neither of us knew what we were doing. And thank goodness we were in the Bahamas and we had friends who were helping, kind of teaching us what they knew and just having a little bit of time to learn. Bahamas is a great proving ground for, I think. But yeah, that I would say is for sure.
And I would say one thing to help with the relationship part of things is just letting go of your ego. It's like, even if you think you're right, just, resolve it and get over yourself, basically.
As quick as
Yeah, exactly.
And that's one thing out here. It's like, we don't have time, especially if we're on a sail and things are going down, we don't have time to argue. If we're arguing, that's not safe. So
It's not helpful.
that part of us, we can argue about it later, but right now we've got to be a team. So
We can discuss it.
Discuss it. I think that's a very healthy way of coping with those things.
Yeah. And it shows a lot of positive mindset from you guys, rather than focusing on like, I'm really upset about this, like focusing on what you can do now to kind of move forward.
right. Yeah.
So we haven't really touched on like the animals basically, because you live on the ocean. The ocean is full of very interesting animals. So what does a typical week or month look like? What kind of animals do you guys encounter? How many?
Turtles.
Turtles
Yeah.
everywhere. I was just telling you this morning, it's so amazing that you can just go out on the boat with your coffee, and then, like, we've been here for a little bit here in St. Thomas, and the anchors that you're at, it's just beautiful water. You can see the sand, and, I'll go out there with my coffee, and the little turtles come up. I've actually started naming some, so, because they have their same places where they hang out at. So learning that sort of stuff, like, oh, there's that same turtle, and the other day I was swimming around the boat and saw 2 eagle rays, and seen rays jumping out of the water, and dolphins have been in this anchorage. I mean, just in this anchorage alone. We went snorkeling, or we went free diving the other day, and we had a remora following us around, which is the fish that they suck to, that's up to the bottom of sea turtles or sharks, and he was trying to like attach to us or like be with us. It was so cute. It's just, I don't know.
It's I compare it to like in the morning if you have a backyard or something, just sipping coffee, going out backyard, watching the birds, watching the squirrels, or kind of like that.
But it's almost kind of like you go in your backyard and a giraffe walks through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's things that you're not used to seeing. It's those sort of things. Like, we don't really see a whole bunch of sharks. I wish we did, because I feel like that would be great for more ecosystem. But nurse sharks and things like that. But just going down, especially when you're scuba diving and seeing the tiny little creatures that make up our coral reefs, it's just, I don't know, it's just incredible. Walking the beach and seeing an iguana, like, those are things that we're not used to seeing.
Yeah. How would you, like, does that impact you guys, seeing that many animals, being around so many animals? Does that impact you or not really?
For sure. Yeah, it makes you totally more conscious about what you're doing with your life, of how you're being sustainable, how you're living, what you're treating the earth like. I think that has a big impact on me.
Because we tend to see a lot of garbage down here. And I think when you're on land, you see a lot of it as well, but you don't think of the impact because it's just laying there on the ground.
Yeah.
Here you see it floating in the ocean and it moving, like it's got life to it, and you know how it's impacting the environment. So it's definitely made me way more conscious of living a little more sustainably.
Yeah. Because you guys, for most people, may not understand this, but you mentioned you live very sustainable. So what are some ways, like I know it probably, but can you tell what are some ways you, for example, generate electricity or get water and food and...
Yeah, our main source of power is the sun. We have 2 large solar panels, and we're looking to get more. And we cook on electric as well. So we have an induction stove top. So we don't use any natural gases. We do have an outboard dinghy that uses gasoline, but we only use it to run back and forth to shore. So
ideally we would have an electric, so we're looking into it, but electric for those just running into shore and out of shore, being further in ocean while we're, scuba diving, we didn't want to do that, but like just doing as much as possible, making water, instead of going to the shore and like bringing back gallons of plastic or whatever. Have a water maker that turns our seawater into drinking water, which is mind-blowing, but
and we're still aware that it takes resources to create these things, and we're not blind to the fact that we're completely eco-friendly.
We're not
here.
Yeah, we know when to go,
right,
but we're doing the best we can.
I think nobody can really be completely eco-friendly in this.
And I think that sort of mentality kind of stops people from trying to do better, because they might think, I'm not at 100%, so whatever, I'll just buy this plastic bottle. But I think it's important that you guys just said it yourselves, that you're trying your best and you're being as cautious as you can be, and that's ultimately what the whole world could be doing to take better care of our planet.
That's very good. I completely agree.
So what is this, maybe to sort of close off, or bring this to an end, what is, obviously this life, it was very clear during this whole interview that it has taught you both a lot about maybe yourself, it has helped you in your relationship, a lot of things. So to recap, what are some things you guys have learned with this lifestyle, with living on the ocean, being around with so many animals, for example? What are some things?
Yeah, just being able to let go of all that craziness in your mind and what we're supposed to do. It allows you to be more free. It's allowed me to be more free and truly experience life. Just seeing the animals out here just doing their thing. They're not thinking about the future. They're not thinking about the past. They're in the moment, 100%. So it's a constant reminder of that.
Yeah.
Being conscious, like just being in the moment. Yeah, I think that's probably, it hits the nail on the head. Just being here and now and not worrying about what's going on later. And I mean, we do still get caught up in that because, we've got to be prepared to make long sales and things like that, but still trying to enjoy what we're doing right now. A dolphin swims by, Brandy jumps in. I mean, that's pretty much how it works.
It's simple. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I mean, it's kind of just, but being present.
Don't get so caught up on your tasks.
The small things.
Everything around you. Yeah.
Yeah, the noise. It cuts out the noise. That makes sense. There's a lot of noise going on, a lot of family issues, a lot of news issues, a lot of people just for traffic, or it's just, you get out here, and I can tell you for an example that when we were cruising the Promise, it was so desolate that, you would see maybe, like in the bigger anchorages, you saw people, but we spent so much time without seeing people or really getting to big shops, or, the largest grocery store there is probably the size of the smallest gas station in America, where when we got to Dominican Republic, I remember going into a big grocery store for the first time in probably 7 months, and standing in the middle and just being so overwhelmed by all of the noise and the overstimulated, I guess I'd say.
And it was crowded too. Yeah. It was like literally shoulder to shoulder, just,
Yeah, get through. So that, it showed me like, whoa, this is what we used to live in, and this is what my body was used to handling. And now that I've been able to decompress and release some of that noise and that overstimulation, it just has completely changed who I am.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
It's one of my favorite things. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
You're on a boat, stuff moves, it happens.
Yeah, hang around.
So if for the listeners, for the viewers who wanna see more of you guys, what can they do? Where can they find you guys?
We have a YouTube channel that you can visit, Beau and Brandy, B-A-U, and Brandy with a Y. And we're on, I think we're releasing our 159th episode, or we just released our 159th episode. Yeah, so 195?
Yeah,
195.
yeah, we're good.
195. So, yeah, we're all, this coming November will be at your
That's amazing.
Wow.
For almost 200 episodes then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy, huh?
Gotta do something fun, like film yourselves with dolphins or something.
Yeah, jump off the top of the boat or something. Yeah.
There was this, in Mexico, we went there called cenotes, basically like a pool of water, right? And there was a little crocodile living in there. And I think it was like 2 meters.
Yeah.
How many foot is that?
My
No,
conversion is off, but
Yeah.
6-7 foot or something?
Yeah.
And there was a little crocodile that lived there, and we literally swam with a crocodile, and it was super cool. And we thought, like, this would be, if we would have had a YouTube channel, more like you guys, like adventures and stuff, we definitely should have had made a video about that, because it's cool. We did it. So what's the future look like for the channel, for your sailing plans?
Just more of the same, I guess. Just keep on keeping on.
We have a lot more work that we're doing on the boat. We're going to be leaving St. Thomas and heading to the Western Caribbean, which is new. We've spent most of our time, we've spent all of our time in the Western or Eastern Caribbean, so that's new. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of, I'm seeing a lot of, I don't know, potential upgrades that we could do to the boat, or even, we might even just get her good enough and sell her. We're still up in the air.
Yeah.
So maybe a new boat? Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah.
Ideally a new boat would be great.
Yeah.
We love her, but she's not as ocean worthy as we would like in order to cross the South Pacific. Ultimately, our goal is the South Pacific. And then from there, we'll decide where we want to go. But we've always said we want to go to Fiji because we're honeymoon in Fiji. So we thought that would be a fun goal, is to get back to where we on our boat.
Cool future plans. Well, thank you guys so much. It was great. It was very interesting to, see the world through your eyes, basically. And it's a completely different way of seeing the world than most people do, I think. And it was super interesting for me, at least. Besides watching the videos, of course, it was really cool.
yeah, I think
Thanks for having us.
are a great inspiration, and yeah, we'll definitely still keep on snooping at your videos, see what you guys are up to, see what's broken or not.
Yeah. You'll be learning with us, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you guys
Thank you for
having
all
us.
the great questions. These are awesome.